Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. I know it's been a while, but here I am in the February weather that has been rather crazy lately, and we have had ups and downs and wet and snow, and now we're just kind of right around the freezing point. We're in the mid-30s today and it's not too bad, so I thought I would come outside and show you a little bit of storm damage that we've gotten, as well as try to clean up some of the hellebore foliage that we have out front, because, well, it doesn't look that great right now and it isn't snowy, so I can see a lot of it, and I think it will look a lot better if we clean it up. For those of you who are new to my channel, I garden in a zone 6A. I used to be a 5B, but recently we did bump up to a 6A. So all right, let's get going. We got a really cold blast of air at one point, and so you can see my kale pots here are looking a bit worse for the wear. And after that, we got a ton of rain after it melted, and there was flood watches and all sorts of crazy stuff. So those are not looking so great anymore. But overall, we do have some winter interests still hanging out in the garden, with some of the arborvitaes looking beautiful, and some of our leftovers from the hydrangeas. They still have some parchment color blooms on them that are just kind of hanging out and decorative. I did have to clip some off of some because they were already breaking. And we have some hellebores that are coming up, so those are getting ready to bloom, so that should be fun. We have some that already tried to bloom because of the strange temperatures. I mean, we literally got up to 60 here in February, which is crazy. So the hawthorn tree took the brunt of the damage here in the backyard. We had really heavy snow. It froze, so it just pushed this branch right down. And I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do about it, because it hung this way for several days. We're definitely going to have to take off some of the lower branches. Maybe it will pop back up a little bit without some of that weight on it, but we might actually have to take that branch off. And then you can see we actually lost one that is coming straight down from up there. It actually snapped right off. So we'll have to come through and clean that up as well. Other than that, I think things have kind of weathered well despite the crazy temperature fluctuations and all of the different rain and snow and sleet that we've gotten. I did come through and kind of clean up a little bit over here, some of the grasses, so you'll see it's kind of messy still. I didn't really have much time to do it, but they were just falling over and kind of snapped. But you can see here's another hellebore that we have. It's starting to peek one of its blooms out as well. So, and then all of the foliage around them are starting to kind of look a bit tattered and worn this time of year. And I usually don't clean up the leaves until a little bit later. You can see some buds on these coming through as well. Aren't those beautiful? But because this year has been so strange and we haven't had a lot of snow cover, I am definitely going to go after the ones in the front yard today. And I do want to show you this as well. This is my oak leaf hydrangea. I think the rabbit has come through and eaten off all of the tips on this. So it will be interesting to see this year whether we get blooms on it or not. It's supposed to bloom on old wood, but I have strong faith that we may still yet get some blooms. Here's another beautiful hellebore getting ready to open for us. I don't really want all of them to open because we are still just in February, which means we are definitely going to have some additional cold spells and snow, and I really hope that they withstand that so that I can get a full enjoyment out of them. You can see also from that really cold temperature that we got, these privets look rather distressed and brown. Normally they look a lot better than this in the winter time throughout the whole winter. All right, well, let's head out to the front and we will tackle the hellebore leaves, get them cleaned up. All right, well, just to show you the lay of the land that we have going on out here before we get started, we have a hellebore back here that I'd like to get tidied. I'm going to leave the Hellebore's Niger. These are the ones that are blooming. Unfortunately, if you look closely, the snow damage also got many of the buds here that had started to open, so we lost quite a few of them. But we do have some in bloom right now that are looking beautiful. These are always the first ones to bloom in my garden, and I just love them. They're a really nice pop of white this time of year. We have some more over here, but you can see I probably had 3 times as many flowers that got weighted down by that snow, and it just snapped the stems, so we won't get quite as many of those beautiful blooms, but they're here. Want to get all of these tidied up. These are just the regular Hellebore orientalis that self-seed themselves, and so they often show a little bit more wear and tear than like the Niger or even some of the newer hybrids. So that's what we're going to get after. Let me get my gloves on. While we're at it, I'm just going to grab these sticks that look like they fell down. We actually had quite a bit of debris falling on our shed roof. Quite a few sticks down from some heavy winds, as well as all of that heavy snow. So when I trim my hellebores, and many of these don't look like they're actually sending up their new shoots yet, but let's look down in the middle under the leaves. You can see they're actually buried down in there, which is perfect. That means that we'll be able to probably experience the blooms on this particular one because of the fact that they are protected. I always like to wear gloves when I'm trimming my hellebore leaves because they're rather leathery and they can be a little bit, I don't know if prickly is the right word, but it's just something I recommend to people is to wear the gloves. It'll be a much more pleasant process that way. But it's really not hard. We're just going down to the base of each leaf and cutting them off. So we won't even know that there's a hellebore here after we clean it up. But once it starts to send up its shoots, we'll be able to enjoy them and really see them with the fresh, clean foliage that will follow afterwards. This is another Hellebore's Niger. You can see the rabbits have munched on this, but we lost pretty much every one of the blooms on that one. So sad. Now these leaves also will not break down very well in the compost, so you can attempt to compost them. I do, just because I leave my compost for long periods of time before I try to harvest it, like a couple of years, because I do cold composting, which just means that I don't actually turn it or do anything to try to make it go faster. I think this particular area where we have lots of them will look much better after we get it tidied up. It'll look more bare. I do like looking at the greenery during the winter, but now that it's starting to brown over and such, it's not so pretty. You can see this one just has its blooms getting ready to come up as well. But now we're heading back down into colder temperatures, so hopefully they'll just hang out for a little bit. And wait to bloom a little later. This one is the one that I divided earlier this year. After several years of saying I was going to divide it, I finally did. And that's because this one has speckled blooms on it. And so I really like it a lot. And I'm quite happy with the fact that I see blooms on it, even though I divided it. Now sometimes you'll find a leaf that's kind of hiding under leaves if you use leaves as mulch. And I love using leaves as mulch because they're such a great free resource. This one has some buds down in there as well. We are going to have some pretty blooms as long as we don't get more of that crazy ice. Luckily, after this warm weather that we had this week, which I said was like up to 60 degrees, we're kind of slowly going back down. We're not going back down to like 10 degrees right after having 60-degree weather, which is a really important thing for gardens. So if you have a significant temperature drop in your garden, let's say it was 60 and you see it's going to go down to like, in the teens, even 20 or below, I would definitely make sure to kind of protect those plants if you can, whether it's with sheets or just making sure you throw a little bit of leaf mulch over them. It's really important. Otherwise they'll get burnt, desiccated, or otherwise harmed by that quick temperature change. As I'm out here, I am seeing this pyrus in need of a little bit of dead trimming. So since I'm out here, I'm going to follow this branch back because you can see it's just, this whole section of it is dead. I'm going to clip that right back at the bottom down here. And that'll just kind of tidy up this plant. And it lost its buds as well, so I'm just going to clip those off, make it look a little prettier, a little bit fuller. There we go. I think that looks a whole lot better now. So I'm interested to hear from you in the comments. What are your favorite kind of hellebores? Do you like the ones with speckles? Do you like the plain ones? Do you like the white ones? Are you a fan of double blooms? Or do you like single blooms? There's so many different varieties to choose from now. I definitely am really partial, now that they have these new hybrids out, to the beautiful foliage that they have, because it's not just green, it's actually got that mottled look that I think is so beautiful. Over here I can show you an example of what I'm talking about by the mottled foliage. This one right here. Now the difference between this and some of the others in the garden that don't have this fancy foliage is that they will not self-seed. So the only way to propagate these would be by division easily. You can see this one's getting ready to bloom. This one is the Lenten Rose Frost Kiss Moon Dance. Sounds pretty. I think that one's going to be white. It's taken me a really long time to actually get this many hellebores in one area, and I think that they really do a good job of looking beautiful when they're planted more en masse, especially if you have the ones that are nodding as opposed to blooming upright. You know, some of the new varieties will have their flowers facing straight up instead of kind of nodding over and looking down. I like both varieties. I kind of like the interactive aspect of having to touch the flower and lift it to see what it looks like. This one is Honeymoon Series Paris in Pink, and I planted this one last year, so this is a new one. I have not seen it actually bloom in my garden. Very excited to see that. All of these Hellebore niger that are blooming right now were just the result of one plant. So a neighbor had given them to me, or I had, let me think here, no. A neighbor actually didn't give those to me. Those I bought. I bought one, and over the years I have just continued to divide it over and over. And now I have quite a few of them throughout this garden bed, and they definitely make an impact. When I only had one, it wasn't very noticeable. Now this one here is also a new one. This one is going to be Wedding Party. What does it say? Maid of Honor. And it looks like it's going to give me a bloom. I planted this one not last year, but the year before, as a very small specimen ordered through the mail. So this is going to be exciting to see that one bloom as well. So many new things to check out in the garden this year. Alright, well that cleanup didn't take too long at all. There's one other thing that I'm going to do really quickly, which is show you this cameo cypress that I bought. This one also got severe winter damage. As you can see, this side was exposed to where the cold wind was coming from. I don't know if this will rebound or not, but I'm just going to leave it for now and we'll see. This one is Squarosa Intermedia, Japanese false cypress. It's very, very soft to the touch, so I like that, and I like the blue color of it, but I don't know if it's going to survive or not. We will see. Well, thanks everybody for joining me in the garden today for a little bit of cleanup. It's good to be back out in the garden for a few, and hopefully we'll have some other times between now and March where we can actually get out in the garden and do a little bit more cleanup together. We'll see you next time. Bye.